Hi and welcome to our newest video. I'm Elvire from the DimitrovBoelee piano duo. And today I want to talk to you about your practice. So when you're learning a piece, you have to always repeat a lot. But that doesn't mean that you have to always repeat in the same way. Today I want to give you 2 tips of how to approach a situation a little bit differently to make sure that you don't get bored with your practice. So I took these 2 tips from my own practice this week, and I'm going to show you a passage first in the Rhapsody in Blue. If you've watched last week's video, you know that Dimitar was vlogging his practice of Rhapsody in Blue. And I have got a tricky jump here, and I wanted to share with you the strategy of how I was practicing that. And you can apply that to any place where you have chords, so not only jumps, but it's really to do with chords. So let me show you. So this is what I need to do in this passage, which is not very difficult when you do it in slow tempo, but it has to be really fast, and I very often miss the jump, which I'll show you. Maybe I'll miss it this time as well. Often I do miss it actually. So I wanted to show you how I solve that and how I get the passage to go better and better. So what I do is, you see that we have a jump. I'm going to just show you with the right hand separately. From here, from the F to a chord. And instead of practicing over and over, because you're going to need a lot of repetition, instead of practicing over and over just the jump, I'm going to practice the chord not all at the same time. So I'm going to practice the different notes of the chord, jumping to the different notes of the chord. First thing I'm going to practice is jumping from thumb to thumb. So I'm leaving out all the other notes of the chord, and I'm just jumping to the thumb. So practicing, and I like to practice actually the passage before that as well. So with this little 16 notes, 16 triplets before that. So I do that a couple of times, and then I'm going to kind of reassemble the chord. So I'm going to practice, and make sure that you do this with the correct fingering. I'm going to practice the first third of the chord. So I'm going to practice jumping to that with fingering 1, 2, because that's what I'll do for the entire chord. So make sure you don't do 1, 3 or anything else. And I do that a couple of times. And now you can go, for example, and I make sure that I always practice with the thumb included. So what I'm not going to do is practice that. Why? Because for me the whole chord is based on the thumb. I really jump towards that thumb. That's my focus point to jump on. So I make sure that no matter how I reassemble the chord, the thumb is always included. So what you can do is practice, and make sure again with the correct fingering, practice the fifth. Practice jumping to the fifth. Practice jumping to the octave, etc. And then you can reassemble it even with 3 notes instead of 4 notes. That's how I like to practice sometimes chords. And like I mentioned, you don't only have to do this when you have a jump. Any chords that you have in your piece, try practicing them once, not all notes at the same time. Try practicing balance, for example, in this way. Okay, so let's take a look at the second tip that I had for today. This is a passage also actually from a piano duo piece, a really fun piece, the Tarantella by Gavrilin. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll have seen this one come up. And I actually wanted to show you how you can make practice with the metronome interesting. What we're going to do is first we're going to put our metronome on the quarter notes, which means in this case we're going to have 4 beats per bar. And I'm starting out with tempo 160. Okay, for now, this is the passage I wanted to show you. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep to the same tempo, but I'm actually going to put the metronome on half beats. Instead of having a beat 4 times a bar, we're only going to have a beat 2 times a bar. And this trains really something different. You're training to have more forward direction in your playing in this way. So we're going to, I started out at 160. I'm keeping to the same tempo, just less beats. So we're going to 80. And there's more room for flexibility here. That's one of the advantages, for example, of experimenting with your metronome practice. You have more flexibility, and at the same time, you're still training to keep approximately one and the same tempo. And we're going to put the beats down even further now. I'm going to do a real difficult one, and that is to train to have the beat only 1 per bar, which means that from 80, we're going now to 40. That's a really difficult one, but it really trains you to kind of keep your own pulse in your playing, and it's a really great exercise. Always fix your wrong notes, but I have to check where I was. So as you see, that is much more tricky to do because it wasn't completely together with the metronome. And if you do this and you're not completely together with the metronome, it's not really a big problem. Just try to notice, try to observe. Do you have the tendency to rush? Do you have the tendency to slow down? That's all really great information to know. So even though practice is about repeating, you don't have to repeat in the same way. You don't have to do things in the same way over and over again. Try to find some fresh way to practice. Try to be creative also in your practice. It makes it fun, but it also keeps your concentration much better. And that gives you, of course, better results. I hope these 2 tips helped. Not only can you try them, but I also hope that they helped you think about how to be creative with your own practice. Now, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and also help us out by sharing this video or our channel with anybody who you think might like it. Don't forget to follow us also on Instagram. You can hear what pieces we're playing, what pieces we're practicing and performing in concerts. We're also on Facebook and TikTok. Now, to those of you who stuck with me till the end, let's see what today is going on behind the curtains. This is what our studio is looking like today. And if you like DIY as much as we do, give us a comment. And yes, that was sarcasm.